But right now, we need to send it out to Churchill Downs for some breaking news. Gentlemen, what can you tell us?
For viewers who have been following us all week long here on site at Churchill Downs, it was Scott Hazelton that was first reporting that El Kabeir was dealing with a foot issue, and it became more of a problem as the days went along. Just recently, calling Simon Bray was Ahmed Zayed of Zayed Stables to clarify what's going to happen with El Kabeir in the Derby tomorrow.
Yeah, he just called me on the phone about 10 minutes ago. Appreciate the call. And Ahmed said basically they're going to scratch El Kabeir. Ahmed Zayed and his family went back to the barn area where El Kabeir was stabled, and they took a look at him this afternoon, and he's still moving gingerly on that foot. It looks like an abscess that is beginning to pop, beginning to burst. Couple more days, maybe the horse can be able to run once that abscess bursts. But I'm excited that John Terranova and his wife Tanya really kind of emotional right now with the fact they had to scratch this horse so close to the Kentucky Derby. They've been so good to him throughout the winter months there up in New York, Scott. And he's a horse we're going to see in future down the line, but to no surprise really for you, because you witnessed this earlier on in the week, right?
Yeah, there was smoke. I mean, and as you know, being here Derby week, when there's smoke, there typically ends up being fire, and it just, it felt when he showed up, he didn't go out that morning, and then he jogged the next morning, and it just didn't seem like things were going in the right direction with El Kabeir, and it's the right thing to do. I mean, let's face it, to have to overcome the obstacles in a race like the Kentucky Derby and then have to deal with this, they're doing the right thing by pulling out El Kabeir in this race, and that could lead to something potentially disastrous.
Exactly, that's what Ahmed Zayed said in that phone conversation just a few minutes ago, reporting to us first. Again, breaking news, that El Kabeir definitely a scratch in Derby 141.
Yeah, and we were sitting here 72 hours out going, wow, this is a pretty smooth Derby, no stories. The just Stanford scratches, but for another race,
yeah.
And now with El Kabeir. But as you said, it's not as if people went in thinking El Kabeir was going to be a huge factor in this race, but still, for connections who have American Pharoah, hugely disappointing.
It is, and the one disappointment out of this is that we don't have Calvin in the Kentucky Derby. That's the one disappointment I think that we have for people in Kentucky, especially because he's so loved and he's such a money rider when it comes to the Run for the Roses.
You heard it here first on HRTV. El Kabeir is scratching out of Derby 141.